Okay, today we're playing another one of the $30 value vintage Sunday tournaments hosted by the $30 value vintage Discord. We'll go back to this view in a second, but let's take a look at the deck on Moxfield. So vintage, but your deck has to be $30 or less for Mox or TCG player pricing on Moxfield, which we are. This was actually my first value vintage deck I played ever and made a YouTube video of. With a little bit of a twist, we're playing Hypergenesis this time. The last time in this kind of pivot spot, we played Crashing Footfalls, which is, the Rhinos, which is a very strong deck in value vintage. But just making 2/4/4 Rhino, it doesn't guarantee victory, and having like a bunch of these creatures in your hand and just putting them into play with Hypergenesis when your opponent's like boarding in and mulling to graveyard hate, I think can be very strong. We're going to try this. Could only afford 2 of them, so you got to be a little careful here, but hopefully that works out okay. One other big change is Grief has gone up, so we're only playing 3 Grief. 3 Grief is worse than 4 Grief. It's, the best disruption spell we got in the deck, but I think this still kind of works. The black count is a little suspect. I kind of ran out of time before the tournament, but sort of looking at other sort of cycling black cards that we could play here. You got ideas, let me know. But I settled on this, so not too many changes from that first video of value vintage before. But the big one being the Hypergenesis in, the Crashing Footfalls out. This, of course, just lets us put all the creatures from our hand into play. So it's like our opponent brings in Leyline of the Void, we can use this just to get our creatures in. Otherwise, it's pretty standard living in. We're just going to cycle all of our creatures. They've all got cycling, 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 land cycling, cycling, pseudo cycling with a little filter. And then this one is kind of disruption. Skyturtle lets us get a card back from our graveyard or bounce a creature. And again, it goes into the graveyard. And once we've done that, we use Violent Outburst and Shardless Agent to cascade with their ability into Living End and play Living End, get all of our creatures back. So pretty good. So that's a really strong plan, but obviously that's weak to graveyard hate, which is why we're looking at that sideboard pivot. We don't have to pivot though. If our opponents bring in like Leyline of the Void or like Soul Guide Lantern or something, we can just try and bring in these foundation breakers and in combination with Grief just to break up their graveyard hate and then play through it. That's another option. Twinshot Sniper is just kind of removal, so again, some small creature decks that can go really fast, we can bring this in to disrupt them, and then it's a creature, so it comes back with Living End. And then we can't play anything that's less than 3 because we want to cascade every time into either Living End or Hypergenesis. So we can play Runescale Stormbrood as a counterspell. It costs 2 mana to cast, but technically costs 4, so we won't cascade into it. And there's a nice little bonus we can bring it back with the Living End. So that's the deck there. This one's pretty simple and straightforward, and we have played this once before on the channel if you want to catch that one afterwards. That was my first value vintage video, and done quite a few since then, so really fun format. Remember to like and subscribe. That's very much appreciated, and really enjoy seeing anybody, sign up there. So thanks for that, for everybody who has. And any comments or ideas for the deck, let me know down below. And then let's get into round 1 here. All right, here we go. Yeah, can keep that. All right. Yep. Ooh, they're Reanimator. Okay. Probably Reanimator, right? What are they reanimating is the question. They're reanimating Troll. Okay. I think we just play this and pass. Yep. Sure. Let's cycle that. Cycle that. Blue. Cycle that. Okay. Thing is, we just die to a counterspell, which is annoying. Blue. How does this work? You may, thought your cards right, put one of them into your graveyard, one of them into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. One into hand. Unless you control 2 or fewer other lands, that's fine, right? 2 or fewer other. Hand. Graveyard. But they got a counter spell, we just die. Our best draw is Grief. Yeah. Yep. Yep. That troll in the graveyard's annoying. That'll come back. I guess the other card that would be good here would be a Skyturtle. Skyturtle to bounce. The Grief and Skyturtle are both pretty good here. Yep. That mean they got a Spell Pierce? That could mean they got a Spell Pierce. Green, blue, green. Okay, they got Spell Pierce. Let's do us. Trying to find a okay. Do. Yep. So we got blockers, which is something. Okay. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. Interesting. That is not true, so they're going to draw 2 and discard 1. Okay. Sidewinder. Put one of them into your hand. Guess this one. Let's go with... That's 10, so that leaves back 1 extra blocker. Alright. So they remove 1 creature, we can still triple block the troll. So here, here, here. So they can kill my unblockable, or they can kill the other 2. It's up to them. Sure. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-0, so they are 0/1 Strixes, which is pretty funny. Um, I think we just attack all. Yep. Yep. All right. Okay. So, what do we want? So do we want to go the graveyard, the anti-graveyard plan? Or do we want to go the Hypergenesis plan? Don't really know. Let's try the Hypergenesis plan for fun. Yes, the griefs get pretty bad when we do that. We have almost no black cards at that point. think we take out the griefs then too. That can kill. I guess the twin shots can also blow up the little creatures. Let's do the twin shots. I want the storm. It's a tough one. Let's do 2 and 2. I obviously am not 100% confident here. Try that. Yeah, we'll keep that. Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm. Forest is a good start. Mm-hmm. What does this one do again? Counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. So we're just going to play this and pass. And hopefully they pay something here. They might have a counter, but yeah. Counter spell. Yeah. Ooh. All right. Well, that's a problem. Okay. Well, I should have done this, I guess. That's a bad counter. That's a problematic counter for us. They got both of our Hypergenesis. Yeah. Got 3 cards in hand. Curious what they are now. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do we want to use the Waker of Waves, or do we want to? Because we can kind of play the. This is easier to cast. I kind of want to look for land by this guy. So put one of them into your hand. Maybe Skyturtle. Because it is a reanimator deck. Pretty good. See if they want to counter our 4/4. They're thinking. Yeah, they do. They want to counter our Curator. No, they probably have a troll in hand they're trying to hardcast. That was my my thought here. Mm-hmm. If we draw a land, we can play an Oliphaunt. It's not a land. Cycle Street Wraith. Nope. Cast. Got another counter. Nope. Blue. Blue. Roiling Dragonstorm. Sure. Let's see. Spell Pierce is gone. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. Yep. That's it from us. We can't do anything on their turn, so it's going to F6 here. See what happens. Blue, blue. Okay. Ward 4. All right. Good games. Got there. It's a little bit of a risky keep because we don't have a blue source, but we're on the draw. I'm going to give it a whirl. We got a Grief. It's an F6. Can't do anything about that. Let's see what's in their hand over there. Infect, huh? Light Mamba, Mutagenic Growth, Apostle's Blessing, Might of Old Crosa, and Scale Up. Interesting. I think we just want to try and buy ourselves some time. I know this is going to like put it into their hand, but we are running a bit slow here. Need to find a blue mana source. Not the land we needed. Okay. Blue land. Street Wraith. Blue land. Good. Got a forest. Play the forest. I think we go one more turn here. Okay. Okay. I think we still do. Sky Turtle into our hand. Yep. All right. Pass. Forest. I think we go for it now. Red. Colorless. And we got there. Okay. So we definitely want our twin shots. They're probably going to bring in Graveyard Hate, so I think we do bring in the Hypergenesis angle here. And again, when we do that, I think the Griefs just aren't good enough, unfortunately. Let's try that. We have some removal. Let's see what graveyard hit they bring in, though. Is this good enough? I guess so. Like, it's, as long as we don't draw the other Hypergenesis, it is a turn 3 Hypergenesis. Hopefully they got some graveyard hate. Ah, shit. That's a problem. Just kill us before anything becomes relevant. We are going to cycle this to look for removal. Maybe I should have, since we had the Hypergenesis in hand and no removal, I should have, you know, done this differently. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. I don't look to have a bunch of graveyard hate. Maybe this was a bad plan. But maybe they just didn't see it. This is tough. This is tough. It kind of feels unnecessarily risky, though, right? Living End plan. Maybe I stick with the Hypergenesis, because maybe they just didn't have graveyard hate. I am very torn here. I am very torn. Let's try that. Because there's a very good chance that they just didn't draw their graveyard hate. I think I was a mull because we didn't have any removal. It didn't matter because we tied before we got 2 mana, but... Got a redraw on the Wraith. So 2 draws to find another land. But we've got a Hypergenesis in hand, which I don't love. I think because we have the Hypergenesis in hand, we do mull it. I'll keep that. We'll put the Hypergenesis on the bottom. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I'm gonna hold on to my creatures. Just gonna do this now because they've got ways of protecting stuff. I guess they could invigorate here. But I want to do this when they're tapped out. So they can invigorate to protect this. Yep. Fair enough. Still think that's the right play. But it leaves us in some trouble here. For sure. Green. Jeez. We could just be dead here then. Yeah. Yeah. What's from elf too? Okay. It's bad. Land, please. Jeez. Alright, now I regret some of my life choices. Land there would have been amazing. Now we're in trouble. Okay. Green. We're just going to let this go. And if they can protect it, they can protect it. Ooh, that kills us. Alright, GG. Alright, here we go. Last round. I think we gotta mull this. No, if this was an island. If that was an island, I think we could keep it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if that was an island, we could keep it, but like 2 draws to get a. I don't know. It's close. We get an extra draw with the Street Wraith. So we really get 3 draws until you're in trouble here. So 3 draws to find a blue mana source. Maybe it's okay because we need a blue one. If we could find 2 other mana sources, we can still Violent Outburst. That doesn't do anything actually. We need the blue mana source. Our blue mana value is a bit sketchy. I think we got like 12 in the deck. Ugh, I think I'm gonna mull it. It's iffy. Jeez, this is worse. Yeah, we got a bit of a blue mana source problem. Um, back 1, 2. All right, so we're on 5. It's not ideal. And we Currently can't do much. Let's see what they got for us. Forest, go. Hopefully this is not another infect deck. Do not want to play against more infect, please. Forest. I don't know what they're on. Alright. Okay. Let's pass. I think they know what we're on at this point, which is not ideal. Blue. Yep. One into hand, one into graveyard. So hand. This one first. Actually, that was probably a mistake because now our blue is bottlenecked. But this comes into play untapped, so it's potentially going to bottleneck us either way. Are they on rhinos? I think they're on rhinos. That would make sense to me. Yeah, I think they're on. My guess is rhinos. They are violent outbursting now? Yes. Shifting Ceratops, huh? Fury. Okay. Crashing Footfalls. Yep. I will take Botanical Sanctum, I guess. We want to draw. I think I want the Sanctum. Jeez. Cannot find a Cascader to save our life. I think we bounce one of the rhinos. Unless we magically draw a Cascader here. We've dug really far. Been a bit unlucky, I think. Bit unlucky. We could be one card deeper if I would have cycled the Architects, but let's cycle 1, take 4. They got counter spells in their deck, so I'm assuming that even if we do find a Shardless here, it just gets countered. Not sure how much we can really do about that. I think we just got to go for it. This is probably getting countered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we waited too long. Unfortunately. Yeah, I think our deck just hit its fail rate, which can happen. We also milled to 5, I guess, so there's that. Not what we need. Not what we need. I mean, we go for it, but again, no crap. Alright, we don't go for it. We do nothing. Well, they're playing it with the new Fury, which I think is cheaper now. That's fine. So our Hypergenesis plan's a little shaky against the rhinos. We want these. We want the black card. I think we go with this. Let's try that. Yep. 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 Got a mountain. Oh wait, we don't need a blue, do we? Okay, well, that was dumb. We don't need a red, I mean. No, I should have played the. That was just stupid. I should have. That was actually a pretty big pun. Oh well. I definitely should have played the Yavimaya Coast. That way we have the option to draw two by cycling both of these. Now we're kind of locked into cycling this guy. We get an island. It's not enough. I think gotta go one more turn cycle here. Yeah. I'm gonna try and get some pressure going. If they want to cast the rhinos, they can. Alright, that's bad because that lets them have a creature to bring back. They're going to counter this for sure. Yeah, that's fine. Um, I think we want the Waker, and then we Shardless, and then we can Skyturtle afterwards. They do get the Fury back, which is not ideal. Okay. Game 3. Is this still the right plan? These can just, like, be hard cast, I guess is the thing. Let's try that. That's bad. 2 Living End is not what we want to see. Yeah, it's fine. Well, that's actually interesting. Do we want to keep the Living End in our hands so that we can grief? I actually think the answer might be yes to that. That makes what we put on the bottom difficult. I guess it's Skyturtle then. Maybe if you think this is the wrong play, let me know. I thought this was I guess, an interesting way of approaching this. Yep. All right, let's see what's in their hand there. Violent Outburst, Shardless Agent. This thing. Maybe we have to get rid of this thing. Island, Shardless. Yep. Yep. Maybe this was a mistake. You know, they've got a Violent Outburst in their hand. Yep. So we got Violent Outburst, unknown. If it's a counterspell, we're dead. It is not a counterspell. I think we're in good shape. Because Violent Outburst is dead right now. We can grief it away. The second card in their hand's extremely important right now. Why are they not attacking? That I don't understand. Do you want to do this in their upkeep? We don't want to do it in their draw step, because if they do draw a Simian Spirit Guide, that can be a problem. I think we wanted... I guess if we do it in their draw step, and they draw a Simian Spirit Guide in response to the Violent Outburst, it doesn't actually help them. And they would just wait for the trigger to resolve, respond to the trigger. I think we just take it now. I don't want to let them draw. I think we want to do this now. If they got a counterspell, they got a counterspell. I don't know why they didn't attack last turn, but... All right. We got there. A little lucky, I think, but good games. Okay, so we went 2-1 today in the tournament. Pretty good. Very close match there. We lost against Infect in round 2, where if we drew either a land on our last turn there, game 3, or off the cycling Street Wraith found a land, I think we win that one because we can play the Twinshot Sniper hardcast off the Hypergenesis. I think we win that. We didn't find a land, and we lost, so that happens. It required a little bit of a combat trick, though, because you didn't watch that game. They had 2 cards in hand, attacked with 2 Infectors. They pumped one, I respond by Twinshot Snipering it, and then they pump it again to save it, and we die, so it's a little unfortunate. We beat Rhinos. Beating Rhinos was pretty cool. Got 2 wins there, so overall happy with the deck. I think it's a secret that Living End is pretty strong though. But yeah, I mean I like the construction of it. Going down to 3 grief because they're expensive is a little annoying, but I think it still functions. The Hypergenesis plan could have done things. I think it's reasonable. We didn't play against a lot of graveyard hate. And the one deck that did bring in double leyline against us, we the first round, we did play the Hypergenesis, and it would have been great, but they had a test of something or other, and they exiled all of our Hypergenesises. We still managed to win just with beatdown, which is pretty good. I think it's reasonable plan. The Rhinos plan again. The first value vintage video ever. You haven't seen that one and watched the intro. Was a similar deck to this, but the sideboard pivot was Crashing Footballs, Cascade, and the Rhinos instead of Hypergenesis. I think the Hypergenesis makes sense. As we saw against the Infect, though, we could have dug one deeper to find a land that would have cycled one of my creatures early, and it puts some tension on whether or not we want to hold our creatures or cycle them for the Hypergenesis. Whereas Rhinos doesn't do that. We can still just cycle our creatures whenever we want if we got Rhinos. But just making 2/4/4 Rhinos doesn't always win the game, and putting in like 15, power of random creatures with Hypergenesis probably does. So I think there's merits to both, but I think testing more of the Hypergenesis plan and the sideboard pivot's interesting. Yeah. But overall, happy with the deck. Remember to, like, subscribe, all that. If you got ideas, throw them down below. Curious if anybody's got any thoughts on this. Yeah, see you next time.